Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. Thank you all for joining me once again. So we all know the conclusion. Anthony Karmelo, the young man, has been found that took the life of the 17-year-old teenager Austin Metcalf, has been found guilty, and apparently has been sentenced to, I believe, 35 years in prison. Let's get right into this article. I'm going to get into this article from breitbartnews, read this article to you guys, and I'm going to give you guys my spin on this situation. It's very, very unfortunate on both sides. It's unfortunate in the fact that Austin Metcalf lost his life. It is unfortunate that Anthony Karmelo is going to be serving 35 years in prison for what he did. So let's get right into this article. A jury in Collin County, Texas, has found 19-year-old Karmelo Anthony guilty of murder in the 2025 stabbing death of 17-year-old Austin Metcalf. Anthony stabbed Metcalf in the Frisco Memorial tent at a regional track meet in Frisco, Texas. Anthony, a former student at Frisco Continental, took shelter in the tent during a rainy portion of the day. Frisco Memorial athletes, including Metcalf, told him to leave the tent, quote, roughly 15 times, according to witnesses. Now, this article says that witnesses basically are saying that Metcalf asked Anthony to leave roughly 15 times, okay? Whether or not that's absolutely true or not, we're not going to even get into all of that, okay? Because we weren't there. We weren't there. One 17-year-old student athlete who went to Frisco Memorial with Metcalf told the court that Anthony, 19, did not act in self-defense. He kept his hands in his backpack until Metcalf shoved him, and then he responded by stabbing the teen in the chest. Quote, that's lethal force against non-lethal, the witness explained. One of the key parts of Anthony's defense is the claim that Austin and his brother Hunter ganged up on Anthony, forcing him to take the knife out of his bag to defend himself. Most of the people that are saying that actually were black, but we're going to get into that. However, multiple witnesses testified that he never saw Austin or his brother gang up on Anthony. Anthony's lawyers pursued a self-defense case on behalf of their client. However, the jury ultimately found that defense unconvincing. Race played a role in the case, and that's what I'm going to talk about in essence in this video. Anthony is black and Metcalf is white. Two factors did tremendous damage to Anthony's self-defense case. First, Anthony did not take the stand in his own defense. A curious decision by his lawyers, giving that an attempt to draw sympathy from the jury could have aided greatly in getting the charge reduced to manslaughter. Second, the majority of the prosecution's witnesses, all of whom laid the blame for the incident on Anthony, were black. Somebody gonna say, probably say, they were paid. Anything, right? Anything to try to switch, But anyway, Anthony's self-defense case was dealt another blow Monday when it was revealed that even one of the defense's witnesses said Anthony caused the incident. Now, that's really a death blow. On Tuesday, the same day that closing arguments were made, and as it turned out, the same day the verdict was given, jurors were instructed to consider manslaughter as a lesser charge. It took a mere 3 hours for the jury to return a verdict of guilty. Under Texas law, Anthony could serve 5 to 99 years. While Anthony's attorneys did not call him to testify at trial, it is highly likely they will have him testify at sentencing to seek a shorter prison term. Since Anthony was under 17 at the time of the murder, he is not eligible for the death penalty. According to reporters from inside the courtroom, Anthony cried and was shaken as the guilty verdict was read. Reporters also claim that Anthony's mother had already taken the stand during the sentencing hearing. She reportedly pleaded with jurors to have mercy on her oldest son. End of article there. As it says, this is a breaking story. Check back for more updates. And there is more updates. I was reading one article that stated in breitbartnews, and I might give some information on that. I might do a video on that, maybe not. Well, I could just mention it here that he's going to be placed in isolation when he's going to be placed in isolation. So there's a lot of controversy about that. But anyway, once again, this is unfortunate that this happened on both sides. It's unfortunate, as I said earlier, that the young man lost his life. Austin Metcalf lost his life. And it is unfortunate that Anthony Karmelo basically lost his life in the sense of the word, if you don't understand what I'm saying. 35 years in prison or however long he's going to be there. Yeah, you know, and I could understand why he would break down and cry. I mean, I would cry too. But I don't want to get into the controversy of whether or not he was guilty or non-guilty, whether or not he was acting in self-defense or not acting in self-defense, because there's so much controversy over this. It's amazing. It's amazing. I was listening to, and I'm wondering if this was AI. All of you guys know, and I'm not putting them on blast. I'm just saying here, it just shook me. I was watching, looked like a TikTok video, maybe like 3 minutes. And it was Anthony Brown Logan, whom I've subscribed to. And I always admired Anthony Brown Logan. I always, looked at him as someone who tried to look at the facts, And I found it kind of shocking to me that in this video, this TikTok video, that Anthony Brown Logan believed that Karmelo was acting in self-defense. That's essentially what he was saying. He was saying that this sentencing was a breach of it was injustice. It was just crazy that they came with this verdict and found him guilty. And according to this video, Anthony Brown Logan stated that this was clearly self-defense on the part of Anthony. And I found it shocking that Anthony Brown Logan would believe that. I did. To me, I just found it shocking. So I'm like, man, should I even talk about that? Because you have a lot of people that's saying that Anthony was guilty, that he was not acting in self-defense, that it was murder. And then you are having a bunch of people that are saying that, oh no, it was self-defense. And to have for someone like Anthony Brown Logan to support that, I find that kind of shook me a little bit. It really shook me because I have a lot. So that's why I said I have a lot of respect for him. So that's why I said, was that AI? I want to see if that was AI or what, because it just didn't seem to match. It just didn't seem to match what it just didn't seem to tie up. Okay. Because the way I see it, that it wasn't in self-defense. You could argue that all that, but like I said, I'm not going to get into the logistics of all of that. Okay. I'm not going to get into that because it's such controversy, so much division. It's ridiculous. What I want to talk about is the racial aspect of it. From my perspective, this is clearly a racially charged situation. And the reason why I personally believe it's a racially charged situation is because what if, same scenario, same situations, same words exchanged, all of that, nothing changes except the race of the person. What if Anthony was white, right? And Austin was black, right? What if he was white and he did this type of stuff, and the guys that was coming to get him out were black, were black. Same set of circumstances, same exchange of words. Nothing's changed other than their skin color. What would be, and he stabbed him in the chest and he died. What would be the reaction and I'll say reaction, not response. I say reaction. What would be the reaction of so many black people? In my opinion, I guarantee you they say, take that white blankety blank out. He's a murderer. He's a racist. He's a part of the KKK. He's a this. He's a that. He's a part of the systemic systemic racist institutions of the world. Whoa, kill him, take him out, take him out, take him. It would be all hell would break loose if he was white. And he did the same thing. That's why I personally believe it's racial. Because when you look at it from the legal side on both sides, in my personal opinion, based on, and I've been following this case, so it ain't a matter of, so nobody can say, well, you ain't been reading, Mr. Bowling, you need to do your homework. I've been doing my homework, so I don't want to hear none of that bull crap. From my perspective, and I said I wasn't going to really mention, but I'm going to mention it. From my perspective, he's guilty. He did murder him. Regardless of whether or not he was was using self-defense in his own mind. In his own mind, he could have been thinking that. I wanted to let me defend myself against these guys. You know, he could have been thinking that. But that's not the issue. The issue is when you standing before the court and you're being tried, the issue is, does that justify you stabbing him in the chest? If he grabs you, right? If you were asked several times to leave and you refuse to leave, and then the person comes, regardless of how big it was, he could have looked like Andre the Giant, and he puts his hand, he touches you. Is that justification, or tries to touch you to grab you, pick you up? Is that justification to stab him in the chest? Wouldn't it mean, man, get your hands off of me and snatch away like Denzel Washington did in the movie that I was watching last night, A Soldier Story, when the sergeant put his hand on him and said, man, take your hands off of me. That in my opinion, would have been the appropriate response, rather than have your hand in the book bag. So if he had his hand in the book bag, according to these witnesses, he had his hand in the book bag all this time, according to some of these witnesses. Okay, I wasn't there. I'm just saying this is what the witnesses were saying. Then to me, that's an intention of doing harm, because he certainly didn't have his hand in his book bag because he wanted to pull out a bottle of Coca-Cola. He certainly didn't have his hand in his book bag because he wanted to pull out an ink pen and get their number and name. Hey, man, what's your name? What's your number, brother? I'm going to write you up so I can. No, that way. He clearly, based on my assessment, that he had his hand in the book bag because he was intending to do harm. The question to me isn't whether or not he was acting in self-defense, because in his mind, he could have been acting in self-defense. The question is, was that justifiable? And in my opinion, no. Now, let's go back to the racial part. I said I wasn't going to talk on it, but I ended up doing it anyway. It's clearly racist, racially motivated, racially charged. Because as I said before, if you switch it around, all hell would break loose. All hell would break loose if you switch it around. If he was white, if the knife was white and the two brothers were black, and he stabbed it, man, it would be, oh, white man stabs him. They would want him to be put in jail big time. They wouldn't even want him put in jail. They want him to be, blacks would want him to be electrocuted. They would want the death sentence, the death penalty. Black Lives Matter would come out. They'll start protesting, right? The NAACP would start yipping and yapping, right? All the race hustlers would come out. All of them would come out. All of them would come out of the woodworks because this would be the perfect reason to come out and feel relevant, like they have something to say, because this white man stabbed this black boy and claimed self-defense. And see, all this is doing is further dividing whites and blacks. That's all it's doing. Now, what I believe a lot of blacks are doing, and why a lot of blacks think the way they think about situations like this, is because they keep looking at past injustices that occurred during the civil rights movement and before then and so forth, where blacks were being lynched, and were during the civil rights movement, a decent number of blacks that were abused, physically abused, and some were even killed. Okay. And then when it came time for the perpetrators to be tried for their crimes, it was usually always an all-white jury, and then these people would get off. And for example, the young man that was murdered, beat to death for looking at a white woman. He eyeballed a white woman the wrong way, and he was beat to death. And I saw a picture of this young man. Okay, I saw the picture. It was horrible. I don't know if he was in a coffin or what. I think his mom wanted his face to stay the way it was so that people would see what they did to their boy, to her boy. His face was just twisted. He looked like a monster. And I was, oh my God, I was so enraged. I was so hurt. I was so angry at what happened. I was. But here's the thing. I was angry. I was enraged. I was furious, not at white people in general. I was angry and furious at the white people that did what they did to this young boy back in them days. I was furious with them. I had no reason to be furious with white people in the modern times and present times who had no direct connection to these monsters that did what they did. What justifiable reason would I have to be angry with white people today over something that white people did 1,000,000 years ago? It made no sense to me then. It doesn't make any sense to me now. But what a lot of black people are doing is they're harping those past injustices onto modern situations, and they're saying in an indirect way, I got you. Here's why I say that. Here's another reason why I say that. It's because of the O.J. Simpson trial. Oh, God, that was clearly racially charged. I mean, O.J. Simpson's lawyer made it clear that it was clearly racially charged because they tried to accuse the guy, the police officer, being racist and all this other kind of stuff. And then with the silly glove situation, if it don't fit, you must acquit and all of this kind of stuff. And O.J. Simpson, a lot of people were suspecting that he was guilty, right? Some blacks were suspecting he was guilty. Most whites were suspecting he was guilty at the time, but many blacks were too. He got set free, found not guilty. Now, I admit at that time, because I wasn't as informed as I am now, and I had the same liberal mindset, victim mindset that a lot of black people had then and do now, I was rejoicing with everyone else. But there was something in my heart that I felt funny about. I felt like then, I'm like, okay, I'm rejoicing and glad, but is this right? There was an unsettling feeling I had. You know, like, am I doing this because other black people are rejoicing over O.J. Simpson being found not guilty and seeing that as a collective victory? Or you know what I'm saying? Or am I rejoicing because this is, this is actual, he didn't actually kill this woman and this man. Because right now, they still haven't found the murderers. And even y'all boy Dave Chappelle said in one of his comedy skits that O.J. Simpson, and I'm paraphrasing, O.J. Simpson is guilty. He said it. He said, yeah, that NIGGA did it. And went on to the next sketch. He said that, okay? Dave Chappelle, okay? So a lot of blacks are seeing situations like that as we're going to stick it back to the white man because, hey, they did it to us during the civil rights movement. And prior to that, with the KKK lynching all our black men and getting away with it, when a black person who's accused of killing a white person or whatever is found not guilty, even if evidence seems to point to the idea that he may be guilty, we see that as a victory. I believe a lot of black people on a subconscious level know deep in their heart that this is not right. Deep in their heart, they know that this black person really did this. He really committed murder. But we can't do that. We can't reject him. We can't reject her, because if we do so, we're not collectively getting the victory or winning like we want in our own minds, because after all, we was losing a lot during the civil rights movement and prior to that. A lot of the white people was getting away with murder. And so, hey, let's stick it to them. Let's stick it to the white man. When we get a victory, when a black person kills a white person, hey, it's just payback time. Even though in their heart they know that that's wrong. Even though in their heart they know there's no way of justifying that. The old saying, two wrongs don't make a right still flies today. Just because somebody of the same race did injustices to black people 70, 80, 90, 100 years ago and got away with it doesn't mean that we as black people today should want people that are black who commit horrible crimes against white people and other people get away with what they get with. Two wrongs don't make a right. And that's what I believe is going on here with this situation. In my opinion, it's purely racist. That's why you got all this division. You have all this division because of the racial aspects of it. Because once again, I'll say it again, if you switch it around, I guarantee you, as sure as I'm sitting here, black people will have they would want they would want that boy to get crucified because he's white. He'd be white then. And the black guy that got stabbed in the person that got stabbed in the chest would be black. And this white guy killed this black boy and claimed self-defense. I guarantee you, as sure as I'm standing here. And you have the perpetrators and the instigators, the NAACP, Black Lives Matter, and Al Sharpton, and all these other race hustlers stirring up the pot, keeping it going. They're part of the problem. They're not the solution. They are part of the problem because they're feeding this emotional reaction from many black people about this case and its outcome. They're feeding it. They're feeding it. That's what I wanted to talk about. Okay. You already know my stance on it. I don't believe it was self-defense. I don't believe it was self-defense on a factual basis. In the mind of the young man, he may have been feeling like he was acting in self-defense. But then again, we don't know. We don't know what that boy was thinking. He could have been thinking, man, I hate white people. And if this white person puts his hands on me, that's what he could have been thinking. We don't know what he was thinking. The only person knows what he was thinking was him, the young boy, and God. That's it. We don't know. But it could have been a possibility that he was sitting there thinking, man, if these white boys put their hands on me, ooh, because remember, he had his head in his book bag while they were saying that. So he already, from my perspective, had an intention of doing harm either way. And once again, he didn't have his hand in his book bag because he was warming his hands up because it was cold. Or he wanted to pull out a bottle of Coca-Cola or pull out an ink pen and a pad and get the names of the young men. No. That's intent to do harm. But we don't know what was going on in his head, whether it was self-defense, whether he wanted to take these guys out because he hated white people. We don't know. But the witnesses there. None of these black mouthpieces that's yipping and yapping and NAACP and Al Sharpton and Black Lives Matter, none of these clowns were there. None of them. I wasn't there. Anybody that's watching this video, you weren't there. Nobody was there except the young boy, his brother, the two brothers, and witnesses. And we can try all day to try to be, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. It came to this. It came to this. I pray and hope that we don't have any riots. We don't need no riots. We don't need no riots. We don't need no riots over this because to me, it's clear. It's clear. But that's what I had to say about that. When are we going to get to the point where we just stop making as black people collectively, stop making everything a racial issue and let's just look at the facts. Let's look at the facts. I mean, come on, man. Let's look at the facts. Let's look at the facts and stop trying to justify how we feel about a black person or white person today based on past injustices. Two wrongs don't make a right. You can't right past injustices by committing injustices in the present. It doesn't work. That's wrong, period. You just look for the people and have law enforcement, the government, all the rest. You keep prying them until they find the actual culprits and do what needs to be done. But taking it out on white people and hating white people and let me just side with black people. I don't care if they decapitate some white person. I don't care. Let them decapitate them because they black and I'm on their side. And no, that's wrong, man. That's wrong, bruh. That's wrong. That's wrong. And me, for one, I'm not going to do it. Period. If I got to stand by myself, I've been standing by myself all this time. What difference does it make? As long as God's with me, and he said, I'll never leave you, neither will I forsake you. I'm with you even until the end of the world. It's all good. So there you go. But that's my stance on it. What do you guys think about this case? That's going to vary. Leave your comments in the comment section below. Like, share, and subscribe to my channel. God bless you all. See you again.